Computer. I am here with Jen Hatmaker, and I have been so excited to talk to you since I read. So I read the this version, and then I just got in
Yeah.
the mail the new fancy hardback
Yeah. Yeah.
version
That's
with a
right.
little insert. I, I read your book in a 2 day, just
Mm.
couldn't stop reading.
Mm.
Couldn't stop reading, and you know, for many, many reasons. But what I wrote to your publicist is that we have so much in common.
Mm.
And I even wrote a list out here to remind myself. Uh,
Yeah.
both eldest of four,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
both got divorced after a quarter century.
Oh boy.
Both have written divorce memoirs.
Uh-huh.
Both have shifted away from organized religion. I was a Sunday
Uh-huh.
school teacher for Hebrew school, Jewish,
Oh,
Jewish
yep.
school.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, I wrote black humor about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Late in life cooks, so many mouths to feed. I have three of my own and two of my partners. Um,
Yep.
the insane life-altering moment when you realize that your partner has been cheating on you.
Yeah.
Solo motherhood and
Mm.
joy despite everything. Uh,
Wow.
this was an
That's
amazing
a that
book.
Venn diagram is quite a cross.
Well, I feel
Yeah.
like I might have been your perfect reader, but I also
Ah.
think this is a really good
Yeah.
read for
Yeah.
anyone questioning anything.
That is not a terrible banner to put over it. Or anyone kind of our age, like here in midlife, pick a category. Most of us are experiencing upheaval or change or loss in some way. Like it's either our bodies, I mean, we're all going through that,
Right.
or our marriages or relationships, our kids are getting older and launching, like our careers are kind of whatever they are here in the middle. So it may not be, my reader may not be almost an identical match like you are, but there's something. There's
Yeah.
something in there where almost every reader who's a woman around this age goes, same.
Well, also, talk to me for a moment. I actually want to take you back to that moment that you're in bed with your husband or your ex-husband, and
Mhm.
you hear him talking to another woman at 2 in the morning. I
Yeah.
want to I want to talk about those feelings because for me, when I discovered the cheating, it was life altering. It was a shock that
Mm.
has not left my body. What
Mm.
happened with you?
I mean, I can still feel it in my
Yeah.
bones when I think about it. Um, and although my intuition had been banging the alarm bell,
Pain.
banging, like I just did not want to face that, nor did I ever expect that. I would have never believed in a million years. I mean, it's a pastor. We started a church together, like in a million years. And so I, hindsight, uh, if I'm being more honest in hindsight, I can say, oh, I knew something was wrong, but
Yeah.
no idea. So to be honest, that night is still sort of shrouded in this fog of shock and grief and confusion, um, that I don't know that will ever fully lift. I just, I don't know. We're not prepared to receive that kind of information in a blindsided way. Um,
Well, there I think
and
there
it
are
was, yeah, go
I think
ahead.
there are moments in our lives that divide life into before and after, right?
Mhm.
And that is definitely a very strong
Yeah,
dividing line in your life.
yeah.
But also, it marks almost the beginning of a questioning of church. I will give you my own example. So
Mm,
I wasn't a frequent Hebrew school or whatever synagogue attendee, but I did go to Rosh Hashanah, which is coming up soon, and Yom
yeah.
Kippur every year without fail because my dad and mom took me to synagogue every year without fail.
Mm,
And then when my dad was dying of pancreatic cancer,
mm,
I called him right around this time of year and I said, "Hey, do you want me to come down to go to Yom Kippur services with you?" And my father, who's a Midwest guy, grew up in Kansas City, had never cursed in my entire life, like ever. He would say, "Gosh darn it," or "Goodness
sure.
gracious." He actually said, "Fuck Yom Kippur. My fate has been sealed. I'm going to the beach. If you want to join me at the beach, come there.
Oh my gosh, did you burst out laughing?
Yeah, no, so there's like
Yeah.
this before and after moment for me where I was like, all right, I don't have to go to synagogue anymore. If Dad's not
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's so mine was a bit of a more of a meandering process.
Mm-hmm.
And I had really begun split from, I guess, evangelical subculture
Yeah,
a decade earlier. No, sorry, that's from now. 5 or 6 years earlier than when I lost my marriage.
right.
So I had already experienced fracture
Right. You spoke out
around,
for Black Lives Matter, right? And LGBTQ
yeah,
rights.
yeah. That was the fracture. The fracture was justice and civil rights
Mhm.
and um which is so insane.
Yeah.
It's just I'll never not think this is the most insane thing in the world that religion, which is supposedly based on love of God and love of neighbor, exiles its own members for their posture toward people of color
Yeah.
and the LGBTQIA community. Like, what in the world? I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
That is a whole
exactly.
nother
Yeah.
podcast. This, what I have a sense of betrayal from, I guess, the church that raised me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm no longer like deeply embedded in that machine, but I was for a very, very long time. My dad was a pastor,
Yeah.
although he was very rogue. Um, and then at the bright, ripe age of 19, jeez, God, I cannot help you process it. I got married, to a man, my ex-husband, who was going into full-time ministry. And so I never had a gap in the history. I was always a part of the engine of church, of organized religion, but as a daughter and then as a wife.
And
And
you went
so
straight from one man's house to another man's house, basically.
dad's house to a dorm
Right.
to the marriage bed. I mean, I
Right.
was 19. I was December of my sophomore year in college. I was a
Wow.
child, literally.
Yeah.
And our culture at the time, our subculture, and I was in this very small Baptist college where I know it sounds crazy to my ears now, but it was super common for a bunch of the students to get married in college. There was this sense of course, there was such a premium placed on sexual purity. So, our only option was get married. If you are wanting to have like a sexually active life, well, I hope you walk an aisle first. And so, a combination of sort of purity culture and this this myopic bubble effect of this niche space created hell. A ton of us got married in college. Didn't even seem weird.
Right. And you all wore
Um,
purity rings as well. I mean, your dad gave you a purity ring. What
yeah.
age were you at that time?
Let's see. I think I was probably, I'm going to say eighth grade, ninth grade.
Right.
Um,
Right on the verge of
and
adolescence, basically.
right, because that was a big part of those were the rules.
Right.
Those were the rules for that subculture was sexual purity and we kind of came up through this like 80s early 90s generation where the 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 Christian marketplace figured out that they could package virginity and sell it.
Right.
And so there was curriculum that so many churches were going through, and all these teenagers, me included, came up through. And by curriculum, I mean, that is the loosest term. Like, it wasn't true sex education, it was abstinence only, of course.
Right.
And then really no actual sexual education, but it was all very much baked in with this ethos of shame and fear. And so, in other words, the message was do not have sex before you get married. Do not be slutty. But once you get married, which hopefully is soon, so you guys won't all just like compromise your morality, um, be amazing at it,
Right. So
right?
that's
Like
really interesting. The way you phrase that, like the way that you phrase it in the book was something like, you know nothing about sex, you're not supposed to have it, it's forbidden, it's terrible, it's forbidden. And then the minute you get married, you're supposed to be this vixen, this
a
like,
vixen.
yeah,
And absolutely available like
right.
for women like there was a full erasure in that space of what we wanted, what our desires were. Let me just remind you that not only were we taught and expected to not have sex but not think about it, not want it, not desire it, um, which is insane. What an insane
Totally insane.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
normal. That's normal that's normal development. We're literally wired to
Right.
become sexual beings. And so this sense that everything about me was dirty,
Yeah.
kind of filthy, problematic. Like I could not wrangle my thoughts quick enough. I cannot ask God to forgive me quick enough before another one replaced itself. And so, you're told long enough that you are gross
Mm.
for your sexual impulses, and having desires of your own that are not predicated on whatever your partner wants and needs, um, makes you kind of dirty. That is very hard to reverse. Like most of us walked that right into our marriages.
Well, so you're all, I mean, in a sense, what I was interested in actually is living in that cognitive dissonance, right? You're living in this cognitive dissonance of, I feel sexy, I'm not allowed to. I feel beautiful, I'm supposed to feel shame.
Yeah,
But also then that carries into, I would say, the marriage, right? So the marriage is you're sensing something is off. You have these red flags and these intuitions, but you're not supposed to listen to them. And so
yeah,
in essence, the religion sets you up perfectly for living, with blinders on.
that's right. I mean, 100%. And like the undercurrent of that position was that not only are women second to men
Yeah.
and their needs and desires, their authority, um, their possibility all came first. We were the subservient, like support network underneath the men. Um, and so we already forfeited a great deal of our agency just in that respect. Um, but then, yeah, then you add sort of the sexual overtures to it, and we were just taught that our bodies were not trustworthy. Like we were not a reliable narrator of our own life. And so,
Your own
you
feeling.
know, uh, it set us up for a lot of failure. And as all of us can well see in a lot of organized religion, um, communities, that creates an environment absolutely susceptible to abuse.
Yeah.
Um, and where women are going to be harmed, and exploited, but then told you're gonna submit to this community and we will handle it, or you're not telling the truth, or what did you do wrong to make him do that? And so it's a cocktail for a lot of suffering.
And I'm going to tell you that the shame aspect is in all religions. Like in Judaism, for example, I grew up, semi-Jewish, didn't go to synagogue
Uh-huh.
all the time. But my ex-husband grew, from the age of 15 on, was adopted by an Orthodox Jewish family. So before my wedding, I had to go into a mikveh. And a mikveh is after your period, you're
Mm,
gross, right? You're supposed to cleanse
mm,
yourself of your
yeah,
period. And then at the wedding itself, and I'd never seen this before because I wasn't a part of the Orthodox community, I had to walk around my husband 7 times as sort of like establishing the home, that I had to walk around him, that he was the center of my universe. It
that's
was almost
right.
like a planet circling the sun, right?
Yes,
And I did this.
yes,
Well, what I want to ask you now is that now that you're out of that, right? Now you're
yeah.
in a different phase of life. Um, my real my I have two real questions. One, how are you dealing with this with your children who were raised in this, right?
Hmm.
Who are adults now, but how are you talking to them about it?
Hmm.
And how does it how has losing that, there must be a sense of loss as well as this sense of, okay, I'm moving forward in my life. Let's
For
go to the
sure.
kids first.
Yeah. So when it comes to adherence to the more conservative or traditional doctrines and theologies and ideologies that I grew up in, we were already making a pretty clear departure
Hmm.
from those years ago.
When you
So
move to Austin,
that
basically, right?
yes, as our perspective expanded, as I had this worldview that was so narrow, and as I just got older
Yeah.
and experienced the world more and learned from different teachers and thinkers. So to some degree, and again, this is sort of a range because I have five kids. So
Right.
the older kids experienced more of
Yeah.
that original culture than the youngers did. The youngers don't even know that. They
Right.
don't remember that. But I had a bit of a spiritual evolution in front of my kids when they were growing up.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
so they, that's what they know now. I feel very encouraged when I look at them, particularly,
Mhm.
but also their age group, who are perceiving some of those ideologies with a much more critical eye.
Right.
I've got two daughters. I have a 25-year-old, I have a 19-year-old. They do not feel about their bodies the way we felt about our bodies at their age. They do not feel about marriage the way we felt. They do not feel about subservience or the way that they exercise autonomy and independence at this young age is amazing to me. What
Hmm.
they understand about their own sexuality is so much more evolved and generous and self-compassionate, others compassionate than what we grew up in. And so I think I'm hopeful when I look at this next age group. And I think our age group, we kind of had this pivotal space in the timeline where we got handed a specific narrative that our moms were certainly given
Yeah. My
to
mom too. For sure.
even a more extreme degree than we got. And we had to sort of decide over the last 30 years or so how we were going to shift those. And it's been
Absolutely.
hard, so
Oh,
hard. It's
I,
like pulling up the most stubborn root from a ground of cement. Um, but I think we're doing it, and in some cases we've done it, and the next generation has been watching that.
yeah.
And so some of that has trickled down, and that gives me a lot of joy.
Well, it's interesting. My son, so I have a 30-year-old is my oldest, and my youngest is 19. And the
Oh yeah.
19-year-old was driving him to college on
Yeah.
Saturday. And
Oh
he was saying,
boy.
Mom, I've been watching Sex in the City. And it's so interesting because
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, there was one episode where, where they were talking about bisexuality and it was like, pick a lane. You have to pick a lane. And our generation is like, what? Why would you pick a lane?
So true.
And it was kind of an epiphany to me because his older
Uh-huh.
siblings were part of that.
Yeah.
When my first book, Shutter Babe, came out, a journalist asked me and printed, I asked her if she's worried that her sexual whatever behavior
Mm,
would get her labeled a slut. And then she
mm,
printed that. So we're
mm.
talking, this was 2001. We're still calling
Yeah,
women sluts in
that's
2001.
right.
My kids were
That's
born
not
in
that
90.
long ago.
Yeah, my kids were born in 95 and 97.
Yeah.
So my oldest is the last of the millennials, and my middle
Yeah.
is the first of the
First of the
Gen
Gen
X.
Zs.
And then my young one is like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Gen Z, sorry.
Yeah.
My young one
Yeah.
is really in Gen Z.
Yeah.
I want to also talk about this idea of the table that you are so good at
Mm,
describing. So in your fantasy in the book, and I want to urge everyone to read this. It's so,
thank you.
so good. This idea of creating a table and
Mm,
having the sparkly lights and the twinkly lights. I
yeah.
had the same exact feeling when I got
Mm,
separated from my husband that I just wanted to just bring people around the table. What
yeah.
do you think that comes from?
Mm. That's always been my approach to the world, to the community. I've always been come over, bring anyone type.
Yeah.
I'll put on an extra plate. I'll put out an extra blanket. I've been like that with my friends and neighbors. I've been like that with my kids' friends.
Yeah.
That is how I am. But I noticed after I lost my marriage, and it was during COVID, and so we were also just so isolated, and everything was crazy.
Yeah.
The world was crazy. My family had imploded. I noticed like, oh my God, I feel like I've lost my capacity for hosting, for gathering. I didn't know if I'd ever be happy again. Like I wasn't that far enough in the story at that point. I thought uh, maybe I will just muddle through for the rest of my life, and that's as good as it gets from
Yeah.
here on out. I wasn't far enough along. But I just remember thinking, no, damn it. No. My life is not over.
Yeah.
I I still get to build it the way I want to build it. I don't have to forfeit every beautiful thing that I love, that I care about, that I've ever wanted. And so I built, this is about 1 year after I lost my marriage. I built a table in my backyard that seats 28 people. It is huge. And with strung it with twinkle lights and lanterns and built a big like kind of like gazebo thing for it. And I just went, no, I will still live a beautiful life. I have agency. I I am not what has been done to me. I am not I am not the victim of some man.
Yeah.
And so that table has been full so many times since. And it's like symbolic to me. It is
Absolutely.
symbolic to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in fact, I'm actually thinking back. I did the same thing where I brought people around the table. Also, because I wasn't getting invited anywhere anymore. Because once you're a single woman, you're an
Mm.
odd woman out. They'll invite the single man, but they're not going to invite the single woman. We can. That's enough.
Oh, interesting.
But
Yeah.
the night before I met my partner that I'm with right now and been
Yeah.
together for now 3 years, I had a giant table on the roof overlooking, New York City, and I had all my friends from college and a few new
Yeah.
friends, twinkle lights, the whole thing. So much of that was resonant to me. It was like, I am me. I
Yeah.
am a person in my own right. I don't need a
That's right.
man to define me. This is
That's
my
right.
in Russian, there's a term called tusovka, which is like your group. This is my
Mm.
tusovka. This is the
I
people that
love
I
that.
love and will always love me. And
That's right.
the next day, I met my new partner. Tell me about
Amazing.
your new partner because you write a little bit about it at the end of this book.
Yeah.
You both decided to go to Waitress together, like, and that's how you met. That's a crazy love story.
Yeah, it is. And I didn't want that to be what I didn't want to tell was a story that went, one man left me, my life fell apart and was sad, and then I met another man and I was happy again.
Right.
Because that's actually not true.
And that's
I,
and that's not the story you tell in here. I
it's
want
not the story.
and that's why I
Yeah,
brought up the table because the
yeah,
table for me was the moment of
yeah,
your reclamation.
it
The
was.
man at the end was just kind of an extra added bonus.
Like,
I'm still
oh,
curious about him.
nice, what a nice bonus. And we weren't looking, I was not looking for him.
Yeah.
Um, and I just barely introduce him at the very end.
Yep.
You just, all the reader will get to know is what happened here. I told him, his name's Tyler. I said, baby, when this book comes out, the first thing that people are gonna Google is she still with that person that she mentions at the very end? And we are 3 years in, three and a half.
Well, I'll tell you
And
something. At the end of at the end of Lady Parts, I introduced the new partner that was actually the cheater, and we broke up literally the day before my book came.
oh,
So
wow.
good that you only mentioned him a tiny bit, and I only mentioned mine a tiny bit too because I was like, no, yeah,
Oh gosh. We ended up getting well, I write about this in Awake, but I spent exactly 12 hours on Bumble and before
so
pulling
good.
my sweatshirt over my head and bursting out into tears and deleting the app. That was not going to be my way. That
Yeah,
became clear really fast. I'm like, well, shit, I'd rather be single the rest of my life than have to figure this out.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, we met the old-fashioned way, like hey, my publicist introduced us, like, oh, I've got a new client and he's here. I was in New York for work. And she's like, oh, I've got a new client. He's also in New York by himself right now. Because I had told her, I think I'm going to stay one more night. We'd finished up all of our media stuff. I said, I think I'm going to stay one more night. I kind of want to see Waitress. I'm just going to get, I don't even have a ticket yet, but I'm going to get a ticket and I think go. And she's like, oh my God, I have a new client. He's in New York by himself. He's going to see Waitress tonight. She's like, should I connect you? I'm like, sure. Um,
Were you sitting together? Did you get seats together?
He bought me a ticket. She
Oh,
gave him my cell number, and the next thing I know, I've got a ticket in my phone. And I was like, "Should we meet before for drinks?" I don't know what. I have no idea. I'm not even thinking of
right,
this. I assumed he was gay. I'm
right.
like, "Oh, he's alone in New York and going to musical theater. Great, he's gay. This is perfect. I'll have a new gay friend."
Right, exactly.
Um, Definitely not gay.
Yeah.
And we met for drinks beforehand. It was like, "Oh, whoa, wow!" And here we are, 3.5 years later.
And where did he
It
live
feels
before he
like a
met
miracle.
you?
He lives in Nashville. He still does. We're long distance.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
And how are your kids getting along with him? Do they like him? I mean, I know that that's often a difficult part of a late in life relationship.
certainly. I mean, and my kids aren't gonna lie. They're not interested in like protecting feelings. Kids will tell you the truth. Your own
Exactly.
kids for
Yeah.
sure. They all love him, and
Oh,
he's
that's
so
good.
good to them. And he's just been such a net positive in my life, in our family's life. He's so great with them. He's such a good listener. It's so beautiful for them to have like a really reliable, trustworthy man in their life and who's also loves me. So, it's just been a real joy, to
Yeah.
be
What's not to
honest, a
love when
real
someone loves your
surprise.
mom? I know. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. One last question, and then I'll let you go because I know you're probably busy promoting this, and I hope that this is a bestseller. It's so, so
Thank
good.
you.
Um, when your evangelical community started turning away from you, have any of them come back? Like, has
Hmm.
anybody said, "Oh, you're supporting, LGBTQ rights. I'm out of here." Has anybody sort of then sent you a DM and said, "You know what? Actually, I think you're right."
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes. And um I and some of that has been from a handful of friends who were up in leadership in some one way or another, and who've come quietly and went, I've changed my mind on
Mhm.
this, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
for the way that we just kind of let you take the fall for it. And um, but a lot of it has been inside just my online community where, that for me was in 2016
Hmm.
and it was very public. It came out through an interview. And so my career like was it changed overnight. My books were pulled out of print. They were pulled off shelves. My publisher disavowed. Like it was a mess.
I can't
And
imagine. I can't even
yeah, it was really, really like scary and disruptive and chaotic and just it was dark time to be honest. And my online community just oh, they were just I could not they were falling out left and right. And so, lost 10,000 followers a day. And
Right.
so a lot of them. So these would be people collectively that I don't know necessarily personally. I could never count how many of them in the ensuing 9 years have come back and said, I am so sorry. I was a part of the mob and I have also since changed my mind. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm not mad.
Right.
I'm not mad. I'm grateful when anybody, for whatever reason, changes their mind when it comes to the dignity and the worth of another human person.
Exactly.
So I will hold that door open for anybody who is willing to walk through it at any point.
So one of the things I was thinking about actually is also this book now marks a new moment in your career where thi- and I don't mean this as an insult, but I had not
Mhm.
heard of you
Yeah.
before before reading this book. And it was your
Yeah.
publicist sent it to me. And I just started reading and reading. I did
Yeah.
some back, and I was like, oh, this is a woman who is extremely well known in a
Mm,
specific community. And what
right.
I'm really hoping, because your voice is so funny and so beautiful, that then this becomes, an entree into a whole new readership. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I don't think my readership has a Venn diagram
Yeah.
overlap with your
Yeah.
readership, and I want it to. I really, I say this. I don't often read a book that I love, 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 and I love this book
Thank
unapologetically.
you.
And when it was over, I was so sad, and I just want to
Oh my
congratulate you.
gosh. That is so nice. What a nice thing to say. Thank you. Like, that
Thank
is
you
just
too.
so kind. And I am so looking forward to expanding my community and having new readers in the fold. Like, I have the most beautiful online community now.
Yeah.
Now we got there.
You
It was
weed it
it
out
was
the
a
people that are, don't like
uh,
Vegas.
yeah. We had a churn, a big churn. And so it's so lovely. And the women are so smart and interesting and curious and kind and generous. And so this thought of having an influx of new readers, because I am now writing in a new space
Yeah.
from a new perspective with a new publisher in a general marketplace, is so thrilling to me. And
Yeah, it
so
should be.
thank you for saying that. Thank you for putting me in front of your community. I That means so much to me. I'm so grateful for that. And I can't wait to meet them. And
Okay,
they're
great. I
so
hope they
welcome
all write
in
to
my
you
world.
and read the book. I'm going to press, stop recording and stay on for a few minutes. Okay, hold on one
Okay.
second. Here we go.